This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be an incredible year. It's going to be an incredible year in talk radio, too, because I have pretty much made up my mind that the stakes are so high this year that I just will not hold back. Cannot hold back. You say what you're thinking. If I think the President of the United States is a jerk, I'm going to say that the President of the United States is a jerk. And I believe that the President of the United States is a jerk. So I'll say so. And you'll be perfectly free to call. You got to show more respect for the office of the presidency. I have immense respect for the office of the presidency. I have absolutely no respect for the jerk occupying it right now. None. We're in an election year, and we have an anti-capitalist Marxist in the White House. This is a man who has no sense of what it means to be an American. I didn't mean to start out the program by going on this rant right now, but this man has no sense of what it means to be an American. You, in spite of the hideous nature of our government schools, in spite of these government schools, you at least grew up being infused to some degree with the American experience and what it takes and what it took to get us to where we are. You learned about the Revolutionary War. You learned about the Pilgrims in Jamestown and the Mayflower and Plymouth Rock. And you learned about Bunker Hill and Paul Revere and the Revolutionary War. Somewhere in the recesses of your mind, you're aware of the experience of George Washington and this ragtag group of revolutionaries dragging feet across icy ground, the feet wrapped in cloth because they didn't have shoes and boots to travel in. And as they would travel from New York to Philadelphia or in that winter of 1777, they would stop at farmhouses along the way and they would beg for food and they would beg, do you have anything we can put on our feet? Do you have anything that could keep us warm? And they'd leave blood on the trail. And all the while, they are fighting for an independence that the majority of the people in the colonies did not want. Didn't want. You talk, this is a democracy, this is a democracy. Back then, when we were fighting for our independence, to call somebody a Democrat was to insult them. Back then, the word Democrat was commonly understood to mean a Democrat is somebody who panders to the mindless whims of the masses. Boy, does that fit today or not? But we have a president. You have, at least through your government education, some experience, some feeling for the history of this country, for the Declaration of Independence, for Independence Hall, for the Liberty Bell, for some of these things. You have some feeling for it. This man in the White House does not. I mean, look, when did this man actually move to the United States? I don't mean Hawaii. I mean to the continental United States to begin his life on the mainland. When? When he was a freshman in college. When he was growing up. Okay, first of all, his mother was basically a leftist hippie. His mother's parents, his maternal grandparents, were dedicated Marxists. His father was a dedicated communist in Kenya. His father's parents, his paternal grandparents, Lord, I don't know what they were. And then when the relationship between his mother and his father ended, where did he go? For the next 7 or 8 years of his life, he was raised in Indonesia, where he attended Muslim schools, living in a Muslim nation. Oh, yeah. He really was infused with the history of America and what it means to be an American there, wasn't he? And then after that marriage failed for his mother, it was back to where? Hawaii. Where her mother soon took up with a man named Frank Marshall Davis. Dedicated communist, Marxist revolutionary. And attending schools in Hawaii. I attended schools in Hawaii. I attended schools in Haleiwa. I attended schools in Waikiki. Grade school right there next to Kapiolani Park. My sister taught school in Hawaii. She taught at Punahou. Oh, that name's familiar. Why, yes, it is. It is the exact same school that Barack Obama attended in Hawaii, Punahou. And I can tell you, from my experience in Hawaiian schools, and from my sisters at Punahou, that's not a school where you are infused with the history and the saga of the American Revolution. What the hell, seriously, folks, what the hell did the people of Hawaii care about the American, I don't care if they're a state or not, what did they care about the American Revolution? The Revolutionary War. They cared more about Captain Cook. They cared more about the City of Refuge. They cared more about the legacy of Hawaii and the Polynesians, the exploration and the travel of the Polynesians in the South Pacific. And this is the way Barack Obama grew up. That's the culture he grew up in. Yes, it was a state. Yes, he's a citizen. Yes, he is constitutionally qualified to be president of the United States. Not experientially qualified, but constitutionally qualified. But that's the experience of Barack Obama growing up. It has no similarity to your experience at all. None. And throughout his life, right up into the time he leaves and travels to California to attend Occidental College, throughout his life, a constant hammering influence of Marxism and communism on this man. That free enterprise is evil, that free enterprise is bad, that capitalism is a scourge. Scourge? Scourge? How do you say that? You don't know? And then he goes to Occidental. And then you talk to people that knew him at Occidental, and you read his own writings about being at Occidental. In his own writings, well, I kind of felt out of place, so I gravitated to and kind of glommed on to the Marxist professors and the Marxist student groups. And then you read the people who met him at Occidental. John Drew, a political science student, now a political scientist. John Drew talks about first meeting Barack Obama. A dedicated, he called Obama a dedicated Marxist, communist revolutionary. So was John Drew. But John Drew recognized some talent in Barack Obama. So over a period of time, he worked with Barack Obama to convince him that there wasn't going to be a workers' revolution in the United States. You can't come here from Hawaii thinking that you are going to go through college and then be ready to encourage and foment a revolution in America where the workers are going to revolt against the bourgeoisie or what. You can't do that. Well, that's what we need. Well, if you want that, if we want that, we're going to have to accomplish it. We're going to have to accomplish it politically. We can get the same result, but we're going to have to get it through politics, not through revolt. And John Drew writes that by the end of his association with Barack Obama at Occidental, that Barack Obama had signed on to his theory that, yes, it is desirable to move America to a Marxist, communist form of government, but it'll have to be done politically. It is not going to be done through revolt, through open revolt. So that's your Barack Obama. From there to Harvard. From Harvard to community organizing, connect the dots, to Bill Ayers, communist, Bernardine Dohrn, communist, Jeremiah Wright. That's the guy you have in the White House, who is working steadfastly for the destruction of capitalism, the destruction of free enterprise, the elevation of government in the lives of all people. That's the guy that tells you that, sometimes you just have to recognize you've made enough money. We've got to spread the wealth around. The government will tell you when it's okay for you to make a profit and when it's not okay for you to make a profit. And this guy must be defeated this year. And if he is not, it'll be the end of this republic.